to this special edition of Frequency Matters, the industry update from Microwave Journal, and sponsored by Mini Circuits. I'm David Vai.
And I'm Pat Hindle, technical editor.
And in this installment, we're going to focus exclusively on the recent MTT-S IMS, International Microwave Symposium, event that just took place in Tampa, Florida. Lots of news and product releases were related to the show. And one of the first things that exhibitors and sponsors always ask us is, what were the attendance numbers? And so we have some preliminary information on that, thanks to the chairman, Larry Dunleavy. And it looks like the number of conference and technical attendees was about 2,475, just under 2,500. People visiting the exhibition alone, 1,344. The exhibitor booth staff made up 3,828, for a total of about 7,600 attendees overall. So
yeah, and it's kind of on par what's been happening in the last couple years. It's almost exactly the same attendance they had in Montreal and Seattle, so it's been pretty flat, pretty stable.
And hats off to them. They did a great job, well-organized event. They did a great job attracting the conference, as I mentioned, 2,500 people. So those are people who are giving papers and attending papers. Yeah. So I think that is a strong show for the industry of the research that's being done and being written about. Kind of a tough area, not a huge local area for local companies,
local companies, but
to draw from.
They still had over 550 exhibitors, so a very strong exhibition.
And I was referring to the number of people that attended just the exhibition. So 1,344. It's not bad. Good job. So moving on to business, we had kind of a theme that we saw coming out of the event, and that was a lot of collaboration. And I think it's a reflection on some of the technologies we'll be referring to later. But before we get to that, there was a big
big announcement. So Analog Devices announced that they will be acquiring Hittite. So that's a really big move in our industry. We talked with Vice President Peter Reel from ADI, and he told us how they have very good synergy. There's not a lot of product overlap. ADI has always been very strong in the converter market and the synthesis and control market, and Hittite's very strong in the RF and microwave and even millimeter wave regions. So now they can really cover the whole signal chain and be a really strong player in all those markets. And also Hittite brings to them some of the defense markets. So
okay, yeah, I was going to mention that as well. Yeah, it was certainly interesting that the news came out after.
Yeah, the day after, pretty much.
Not quite sure why they waited for that, but yeah, as you said, it helps them grow into the microwave, millimeter wave space. Obviously, now they've got a stronger portfolio for defense, and I think Peter also mentioned that they were interested in the commercial communication market as well. So that should provide a little more competition in that area and churn things up. So taking a look at the conference, what do you think were some of the things that are driving collaboration, mergers, and whatnot that we're seeing in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I look through the conference abstracts just to get an idea. I usually spend an hour or two looking through that, even though I don't get to attend many of them. Some of the trends I definitely saw were a lot of activity in millimeter wave, Internet of Things, tunable filters and antennas, and of course, always high efficiency power amps are definitely a big area with digital pre-distortion, envelope tracking, switch mode PAs design. So that's always a popular topic. And one a little surprising to me was biomedical sensors, maybe an area for the future growth.
Speaking of 5G, now you and Microwave Journal, we organized the 5G panel at the MicroApps. How did that go?
Yeah, it went excellent. So MicroApps on the exhibition floor. We had a featured panel session on the challenges of 5G. So Ted Rappaport, who's from NYU Wireless, he's the founder there, and he just held the Brooklyn 5G Summit. So he was a moderator, gave a good background on what was the status of 5G now and what's in development, and then some of the challenges and goals that we have. So we had members on the panel there from Strategy Analytics, Agilent, Anritsu, Virginia Diodes, MACOM, and National Instruments. So we really had experts from the test and measurement and the component side giving their views. We had 110 people, and I think it was actually limited by the space. We would have had more than that if we had more room.
Yeah, that's excellent. And it's a diverse group of companies that are speaking, which I think talks to that collaborative effort that we're going to see necessary to take on 5G.
They're doing a lot of university work too, so they're collaborating with universities, companies, and the standards organization to really progress that.
Right, right. A lot of talk about millimeter wave technology. That was a theme that was talked about by Anoki Wave, that was the author of our cover story in May, and they had quite a bit of signage and presence at the event. Hopefully some people got by to see them. Spectrum allocation and efficient use of spectrum was a theme that I heard a lot about, which will impact smart antennas, massive MIMO is a theme that we heard a lot about. I had a lot of people referring back to, and we were talking about this earlier, the Cisco Connected World Technology Report, that people are now starting to cite as something that's kind of spelling out what's going to happen for 5G and then how it kind of trickles down through the supply chain. So we'll keep an eye on that. I did hear some stuff about wearable technology. People are starting to talk about that. Did not hear too much about auto radar, which we heard a bit about at European Microwave Week. So I don't know whether I just was out of the room or it wasn't a theme.
Well, I think it's still activity, but I think it's maturing, so it's not as more in the production mode rather than the research mode.
So between these, you see almost a cross between what could be defense technology and commercial technology, and an interesting merger that actually happened just before IMS, and then so it was somewhat the news at IMS, was the acquisition of Airflex by Cobham.
Right.
And coincidentally, they were right next to each other, conveniently on the exhibition floor. According to their press release, it was based on a move by Cobham to try to diversify more into the commercial market. And then we went to a press release.
Went to the Triquin, RFMD announced that merger right before we went. So RFMD had a press conference, and they spent the whole time just talking about that merger. Of course, they knew that's all the press was going to ask about, so it was very smart of them to address that head on. So they spent a lot of time, again, showing how they have pretty much complementary products. We see that Triquin has a very strong presence in filtering technologies, defense technologies, while we have RFMD on the other side, a lot of good packaging technologies and silicon technology. So they're a very good complement. They said the merger will take place, be finished last quarter of this year, so we'll look forward to that.
And they refused to tell the name of the company. I think they're still working on it.
That's what we all want to know.
That was one of the questions, and then it will, be interesting. It'll be the last time we see RFMD and Triquin at an IMS. So
what did you see on the collaboration? And there were a lot of companies in the exhibition.
Yeah, well, there was I thought, a very interesting press release from ANSYS and AWR that came out in the week before the show, so it was kind of the big news for them, a collaboration between them and a interoperability link that was built between AWR's Microwave Office design environment and ANSYS's HFSS. So now people will be able to do circuit design and structures in the AWR design environment and analyze them using HFSS, which is, of course, a very popular 3D finite element tool for analyzing passive structures, and then take that information back into AWR. So that's an interesting design flow, and a little plug for our July issue, which will cover design software interoperability. We'll have a write-up from them on that feature, as well as from all the
many other companies.
So what did you see on the collaboration front?
Yeah, so I saw a couple of companies. One that caught my eye is Peregrine. They're really taking the Ultra CMOS and going into various markets. They developed a control module for Doherty power amplifiers. So they've worked closely with NXP, Freescale, who are the leaders in Doherty power amplifier design, to make this module that very simplifies the design and reduces the cost. So that was very interesting on the component side. We
both attended a press release from Agilent. Speaking of a collaboration, they have one with Cascade. And this one, maybe not so much about technology, but the way the two organizations are going to work together. Cascade, of course, does wafer probe technology, and they do a lot of work with Agilent as a partner. So what they've organized is that Cascade is going to have a service to go in and set up very complex systems to address wafer level measurements, with systems that are custom designed using Agilent equipment with Cascade, and then support that whole effort. So it's really trying to help the engineer and
service the
engineering
customer,
teams. So I thought that was an interesting collaboration. On the test and measurement side, I also went to a press release on Anritsu, who introduced their new shock line VNA, which is a trend that we're seeing with the low-cost, high-performance VNAs. This one, they've stripped out the display and the UI, and all that goes into the computer. So high performance, mostly for passive 1 to 4 port measurements. They're pretty excited about it, and it looks like some good technology.
Yeah, and in that same vein, what I saw from Copper Mountain was very interesting. Copper Mountain has a PC-driven VNA, again, where it's stripped down to a very simple, small device, and it's controlled by the PC. They've collaborated with the low-pole companies now to incorporate their system into low-pole systems from Focus and Mari, so that's very cool. And then they even working with antenna measurement systems, so like Diamond Engineering has incorporated their software together into Copper Mountain. And when we walked around the show floor, you saw Copper Mountain VNAs be at Reactel booth, the MACOM booth. So it's really becoming pervasive in the industry.
I like one thing about the IMS is that you do see, you know, we're talking about these big collaborations, but you also see a lot of activity kind of springing up from, you know, from below, the green shoots or emerging technologies. Some of those I'd point out, Ladybug, Signal Hound, doing real-time sensors and real-time spectrum analyzers. You know, the big TNM companies are doing similar work, but it's nice to see these small companies, you know, introducing some high performance, very fast technology. So there were a number of those. I know we both independently discovered a company called Switch to 12, which is a Swiss company, obviously, but they're doing millimeter wave to terahertz waveguide technology.
Yeah, they're in the Virginia Diodes booth, right?
That's right. And what was cool about this is, you know, they had a corrugated circular waveguide that had much lower loss than a rectangular waveguide, but they also they're using 3D printing of polymers to build custom millimeter wave waveguide that's then gold plated so that they can turn around, you know, very, you know, unique waveguide
structure
in 2 to 3 weeks. So that was some interesting technology, and we hope to be writing about them in the future.
Also on the high performance end, there were a lot of news about GaN technology, which is a very hot topic these days, and companies like Cree and even MACOM was really pushing mainstreaming this technology. And MACOM has their GaN manifesto out that they showed before the show and during the show, so they really were rising the visibility of GaN technology.
Yeah, certainly, and you raise a good point. I mean, there were so many technologies, there's over 500 companies. There's no way that we could cover them all in this video. With 3 editors, we were able to manage a wrap-up that highlights 90 companies and the products that they were showing. That's online, and we invite our readers to go check that out. You know, and IMS is, you know, in addition to all the products and the news and the collaborations we talked about, it is a networking and social event, and it was really good to see a lot of people that you see only once a year and catch up and, you know, do business and just enjoy their company. So I know you organized something to that effect at
yeah, we had the first LinkedIn meetup. So the RF and microwave community on LinkedIn, we joined up with the high performance RF and microwave PCB design and fabrication group, and we had a meetup at the Marriott on Monday. So we had about 40 people. It was really fun to finally get to meet people in person, because you see them online all the time. But it was a chance to get to meet in person, and we're going to do that again. Okay, great. And I know that Sherry Hess from AWR organized the Women in Microwave, and I think that was, again, a successful event. And hats off, again, to Larry Dunleavy, the chairman of this year's IMS, who organized the IMS reception that was held on the patio right outside of the convention center overlooking the bay, and he put on a wonderful event and a great water skiing show. The water ski show and the, you know, the refreshments were, it's a great venue to have it at.
Yeah, there were quite a few people turned out, so that obviously was a huge success. So for Frequency Matters, we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to leave you with some images. I'm David Vai.
I'm Pat Hindle. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Mini Circuits. You can find out more about their products at minicircuits.com. Thanks for joining us today. Please watch us next time on Frequency Matters.